Joining us now, New York State's Attorney General Letitia James. Kamala had a similar job in California. Claire McCaskill has the first question. We're going to have all the prosecutors gather together here. Claire, take it away.
General, it's good to be with you this morning. Not sure that people realize the power the Attorney General has to protect the little guy, to go after the biggest and most powerful interests in this country. I know that when Kamala was AG in California, she took on big oil. She took on big banks. You recently have taken on one of the most powerful interests in our country. Talk about the experience you get when you have the ability to prioritize where you use your resources to protect the little guy in your state, similar to the experience that Kamala has had.
Well, first, good morning, and thank you for having me. You know, it's an historic day, and I'm just really honored to be here. Senator Harris obviously is going to make history. She's made history before, and as the Attorney General of the great state of California, she knows, like I know, that attorney generals are defending democracy, defending the values of Americans. We're standing up each and every day for consumer rights, for women's rights, for environmental rights. We're standing up against the policies of this administration, and Senator Harris obviously was in the forefront of so many issues, and Democratic attorney generals at this point in time have been the backbone of our democracy, and Senator Harris knows it well. And so attorney generals right now, we are defending the little guy. We're defending this country. We're defending the Affordable Care Act. We're defending so many issues, which is why Senator Harris is so well positioned to be the vice president of these United States. I'm so excited to say that she stands on the shoulders of countless numbers of women, particularly women of color, women who have been ignored for far too long. And now she takes her rightful place. And it's really just an honor and a privilege to know her, and also to be a proud graduate of Howard University as well.
General, can you take a swipe at those out there that have a tendency to see women as too ambitious when they are in a position like you are in, or a position that Kamala now finds herself in, or people who say, oh, they rub people the wrong way? Can you talk about that path and how you navigate those assumptions that somehow when a woman is ambitious, it's unseemly, but when a man is ambitious, yee howdy, that's terrific?
It's just sexist in nature. And the reality is that we've got to stand toe to toe with men each and every day. And it's really critically important that we really don't get caught up in ego. Most women tend to check their egos at the door. We're all about rolling up our sleeves and getting to work, and representing the interests of the little guy, standing up for the environment, standing up for women's rights, standing up for children, standing up for health care, standing again at a time when we find ourselves in this country more divided than ever, trying to bring us back together and united as one, and recognizing our common interest. That's what we are all about. And so if we tend to rub some individuals the wrong way, they're just going to have to get over it. The reality is that Senator Harris will be the next vice president of these United States, and she's well positioned to be the next president of these United States on day one.
Jason Johnson has the next question. Jason?
Attorney General James, it's an honor to actually speak to you. I want to address something that is sort of an intercultural conversation. One of the main attacks from the far left and the far right on Senator Harris is this nasty, she's a black woman that threw black men in jail, right? Despite the fact that Senator Harris has said that safety is a civil right and she was a progressive prosecutor. As an African-American woman who's an attorney general, what do you think is the best and most effective messaging to push against that false narrative? You are in a position where you are having to sort of prosecute the law and everything else like that. How do you make that argument and break against that myth?
So we're in the midst of a historic moment. We're electing the first African-American Black woman as the Vice President of these United States at a time when we are seeing racial turmoil each and every day, at a time when we are seeing individuals march peacefully all across this nation. And Senator Harris knows, like I know, that we have a responsibility and duty to defend their right to peacefully protest, to defend the First Amendment. And she will do that, and she has done that. Two, she has been in the forefront of discussions on issues related to the criminal justice. She's talked about bias training. She's talked about and she's implemented body cameras as the Attorney General of the great state of California. She has talked about a wide range of issues as it relates to institutional racism throughout the criminal justice system. And so we've got to talk about those issues, take them on, not be afraid of those issues. And Senator Harris has done that as a former prosecutor, as the Attorney General, and as the United States Senator. Let me also say that she is well-versed in foreign policy, and she is someone who is fierce when it comes to questioning individuals. So she has it all. She's the full package, and that's why she will make a great Vice President of these United States. And I'm so happy that Vice President Biden chose Senator Harris. She's going to excite the base. The base is already excited. We're going to come out and vote. We're going to stand in formation, and we're going to elect Vice President Biden and Senator Harris as the next president and vice president, respectively.
All right, New York Attorney General Letitia James, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.